thank you so much for coming along and coming to this webinar. Also, huge thanks to Digital Dragons Academy for inviting me as well. Look, I hope you're going to have a good time today. I hope you're going to learn a lot of things too. And yeah, I just hope that by the end of it, you're going to all come out and go, yeah, let's do some marketing. So today I want to tell you or share with you a couple of things that I love doing when it comes to creating campaigns. And it's these two little exercises that I do. And these exercises, they kind of help me out with being able to come up with saying the right things to the right people. So that's what my talk is going to be on about today. So just very quickly, look, I know that when you all, start working on a video game and you start seeing some things appear on your screen, you get excited and go, yes, let's share these things on, on socials, TikToks, etc. But before you do, before you start talking about your game, I always like to think about two things. Well, first, what is it that I want to say about my game? What do I want people to know about it? And two, who should I say those things to? And I guess it kind of helps you out because I know, like, you're probably just like me. Like, you probably get bombarded with so many messages and you see so many screenshots, you see so many videos. Like, I don't know about you, but like, I don't remember what I watched on TikTok yesterday or like even last week. There's just 95% of things you just filter out. So it's easy to start talking and yelling and such, but if you say the right things to the right people, that message is going to stick a little bit more. Now, just quickly take a little sip of my tea. Nice. So when I do my campaign, I pretty much like to think of 5 questions. What do I say? Where do I say it? When do I say it? How do I say it? And to whom do I say it? There's a 6th question, which I hate, and that one is, how much does this stuff cost? And look, we're all indies here, so we're all on a tight budget. But yeah, that question kind of pops up around, but we're not going to talk about that. I want to concentrate on those 2 questions, the what to say and to whom to say it part. Because in my opinion, if you figured these out and you've got those sorted out, the rest is just going to fall into place for you. So today, I want to go through one of my favorite exercises, the key pillars. I'll tell you a little bit about Quantic Foundry. I love this stuff. So yeah, it's a hoot. So I can't wait to show you that as well. And then I'm just going to talk briefly about how the two kind of work and relate to each other, just as a real final thought. Now, before going any further, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, this is all okay and good, but who is this guy? And that's a very good question. So my name is Michał, and I'm the owner of a video games marketing agency called 3233. I've been marketing games for over 10 years now, which is absolutely insane. And it all ranged from AAA titles all the way to premium indies. I started my career back in 2013 at a studio called Techland. So if there's any people from Techland here, heaps of love to you coming away. And that's when I was the social media and community manager on Dying Light. And Dying Light the following. I worked there for a couple of years and decided maybe I'll try to do something of my own. And that's how 3233 came to be. And during that time, I got to work on games like The Medium, The Invincible, the Sherlock Holmes franchise, indie games such as Dinkum, Bramble the Mountain King, Medieval Dynasty, and I even worked on Inquinati, which was also a graduate of the Digital Dragons Academy. So yeah, I love doing what I'm doing. I feel like I've learned something new every day. I also see things change as well. They keep you on the edge and keep you on your toes, but some things don't change either. And hopefully the 2 things that I want to show you today, they're like one of the foundations of marketing that you can use over and over and over for the remainder of the decades. Now, just a little disclaimer before I go any further. Look, with those things, I could be right, but there's also a chance that I could be wrong. It's up to you to decide. And how to decide this? Very easily. If you sort of looking at my presentation and you're hearing it and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I like what this guy is saying. You've got some green flags going, and kudos, that's wicked. That's all I could ever ask for. But if there's any things in here that you're thinking to yourself, I don't know. I don't know if this guy is saying this right or no, I'm not feeling it. And that's fine as well. If you feel a red flag, disregard it, because I guess at the end of the day, it's all about being able to sleep better at night. So I hope there will be more green flags than reds. I hope there's no reds. So let's go for green. Now, with that out of the way, what I want to do is I want to show you the 3 key pillars exercise. Now, I love this exercise for the simple fact that once you kind of do it, get it out of your system, it gives you a good idea of what it is that I can tell people that makes my game special. It sort of formulates the messaging that I'm going to have for the rest of my campaign. It's the words that you're going to use to sell your game, I guess. Some people use the words key pillars. Some people use USPs. I like key pillars. I don't know why, but that's how it is. And yes, it's a fantastic exercise, one of my favorites. So in order to do this, what I usually like to do is just go analog style and go grab myself a whiteboard or a blackboard or a giant piece of paper, get as many pens and crayons and markers and things that I can color with. Color is good here. And I like to invite people from different areas of the studio. So we can get people from production, from marketing, maybe someone that's the art director, game designer. Let them all come into the one place. Because it's interesting. I realize over the years, like, some people might have different ideas of what a game is, especially while it's being made. So there will be plenty of times where someone from production would say to me, oh, you can do big jumps in here. And as a marketing person, I'm like, oh my God, that's insane. We can do massive jumps or flips and maybe like shooting stuff, it's going to be crazy. And then like the people from production will be like, no, it's just a big jump, relax, don't go nuts. And it's good. It's good to know that, because the thing that you need to bring in as well is just your honesty about your strengths. There's no point of sugarcoating it. If you sugarcoat it, you're just going to make yourself be in a worse state. So bring that honesty. It's fine. It's a safe zone that we create. Now I'm just going to run an example here for a game that doesn't exist. So it's a hypothetical game, and the hypothetical game is a story-driven street brawler set in a post-apocalyptic Poznan fighter. And I just want to quickly say to all the people in Poznan, this is not a diss. This is nothing. I love Poznan. I think you guys are the best. I've been there a few times. I love Rogale Marcinske. You know which ones I'm talking about. This is just coming from a place of love. So once you're in the room, you're all comfortable and such, you start sort of going around the room and maybe yelling the things that you think are good about your game. So the one thing you might yell out and say is, all right, well, look, we're a fighter, and we don't have 15 characters to choose from like all the big AAAs, but we've got one character, and that character is pretty damn good. He's pretty interesting. He's a man from Poznan. I don't know about you, but I've never seen a person from Poznan in Mortal Kombat or Tekken or whatnot. So he's good. He's got his style. He's got an interesting story. We've got something interesting here. And the other thing sort of might be going around the room and going, well, the character is pretty cool too, but we've actually got pretty damn good tight controls for this game. Like, it's just one character, but the controls are tight. We can do all the different combos, execute them in a very nice way. And actually, we've got 100 special attack combos as well in the game. Sure, it's just for one player, but it's 100. That's pretty cool. And we've also got different ways you can kill an enemy. Maybe we don't have any weapons, but it's okay. You only need those fists. But there's 1,000 ways you can kill a person. We've also got a pretty good area, a map. It's post-apocalyptic Poznan. It looks nice. You got that sort of ratusz with the 2 goats in there fighting. That's a pretty cool thing to show off. No one's got that. We've got different regions. We've got the open world. Like, it's pretty cool. It's a good map that we have. And just going back to the unique character, we've got a head-turning story. Maybe this character of ours, he's trying to take revenge on Poznan. And the story is about deep societal issues. Maybe he's just angry and he goes, I'm just gonna smash anyone who contributed to climate change, and like, anytime you punch someone, if you plant a tree or something, like, it's a deep story that's involved. We also got a bit of character customization. It's not the best. Like, sure, you can give him a hat and whatnot, but it's not as good as Baldur's Gate 3 or something. And during the game, we also have a bit of puzzles to solve, a bit of hacking, so you can get into some interesting secret rooms and such. Just to break up the thing. So you kind of list it all out. You put it out on the table, on the board, and you're looking at it and go, all right, well, these are all the things that are good about a game. Now you're probably going to looking at this and you're thinking to yourself, well, this is all cool and everything, but like, how is everyone going to remember this? Like, once again, people have a lot of things on their minds. They're not going to remember 10 things that are good about your game. Maximum, they'll remember 3. But as you're looking at all of those things, you'll realize, right, there's actually some clusters here. There's a bit of a theme going on here. And what you might do is you might start coloring in these themes and you sort of go, well, check this out. Like the character and the story and the social issues, that's kind of like one cluster in here, the yellow stuff. That's got its own theme to it. And then you'll look at the blues as well. It's all about combat, that's a nice little theme in there. And then the green, the Poznite, post-apo, that's something interesting too. I think you might come to the conclusion that, look, customization and the puzzles, they're not that great, so let's just leave them out of here. But you got yourself some clusters, and what you can do is pretty much bunch them in and come up with some nice creative ways of how you can sell or how you can describe each of those clusters by themselves. So for this game, for example, what you might do is create these 3 key pillars. So Poznań Fighter is a story of a fighter for climate. You say that out loud and people will go, okay, I've never seen someone fight for climate change, that's interesting. And also in Poznań Fighter, you get to express your inner brute. You go, okay, cool, all right, I've got to remember this. And being an inner brute means, combos and different ways of killing people and such. And it's also set in a city after chaos, Poznań, post-apo, shit's going down. That will make people go, all right, okay. So that's how you can kind of bunch up all of those ideas that you have, smaller little pieces that you can then tell people whenever you are actually talking to them. Now, just to give you a real life example, here's some USBs that we had for Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1. And this game here is an investigation game. You play as Sherlock Holmes. And with our gameplay, pretty much we've included all those different mechanics that you can feel like, with which you can feel like a detective, So you can go into and investigate to a crime scene and investigate. You can piece things together. You can go around the map and go to a police station, look for archives to find some more clues, and then you can open up the map and pinpoint the location you should go. There's no quest marks to go in. It's something you all have to figure out by yourself. So you got all these different things to make you feel like a detective. So we just branded all of those as a hand-holding global investigation. Same with Young Sherlock. This game is about Sherlock Holmes before he became the great detective. He was still a young man. He was trying to figure himself out. He didn't know what he wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was in my 20s. And this game here talks very much about that, and also about some of the problems that he has. And one of the things he does is he arrives on this island, an open world island full of contrast, an island called Cordona, which is a fictitious island that's in the middle of the Mediterranean. And that's where he's got his childhood, some memories that he's going to go through. But also, as you discover the area, you realize, damn, this island's got a lot of contrasts in it itself. Like, you've got places where all the rich and beautiful and wealthy kind of hang out and have fancy tea parties just at the end of 1800s. Well, if you go to another part of the map, there's slums and people working in there and making sure all these rich people, have a good time. And you've got all these different cultures mixed in together. And all of this creates a nice little melting pot where you kind of figure out that, there's nothing black and white when it comes to morality. It's all gray. So that was the sort of talking points that kind of helped us out describe the game a little bit. Now, this is something that's been drilled into my head, so I'm passing this on to you to make sure with your marketing that that any asset that you do shows off at least one key pillar. So every screenshot that you do, every GIF or a video that you post, any press release that you write, any gameplay that you do, showcase, the demos that you put on Steam Next Fest, or even to publishers, make sure that they show at least one key pillar. If they can show 3 key pillars, boom, that's fantastic. If they can show 2, hey, that's still pretty damn good. But at least have one. There's nothing worse when I sometimes go onto Steam and I open up the screenshots just to see what the game is about. I don't read the description long at the bottom when I start off first. I usually go to the side and then show me how the game looks. And there's a lot of indie studios that just put like, I might come across it for the first time. I want to find out more about the game. And it's just a screenshot of like this panorama, of just, you're on top of a hill and you just see stuff in front of you. And you kind of look at it and go, well, all right, sure, it's pretty, but what the hell is this, Like, is this a stage for a 3D platformer? Is this an RPG, an open world game? Maybe it's a narrative-driven adventure, or maybe it's, farming sim somewhere, Tell me what it is. So, yeah, put your key pillars in any bit of marketing piece of communication that you do. It's all about making it easy for people to figure out what it is that they're looking for and what is it that makes your game special. And if you keep on repeating, it'll kind of be the thing that they'll remember. So just to give you an example with, say, Dying Light. So these are some of the Dying Light official screenshots. And when you look at them, the message is simple. You're jumping, doing crazy parkour stuff. You've got combat. You've got, shields, some crazy ass machetes with some things attached to it. You've got a gun there as well. You've got some sort of sword. It's all nuts. You've got a co-op scene in here as well. You can do it together with friends. You can sense there's an open world feel about it. You also see there's a day and night cycle. Screenshots during the day, then you've got one during the night, so it makes you think, oh, okay, I'll be doing, both day and night missions. And of course, you've got zombies. So all of those screenshots, they're nice and beautiful, but they all tell a message or a story of what you'll be doing, so you can easily imagine yourself what you're going to be doing in the game. And so individually, we might show they're all nice and enticing and exciting and tell you what the game is about as well. But also as a whole package, you'll be flicking through 3 or 4 or 5 screenshots, and all of them together can give you a nice overarching story as well. So pop those key pillars in, use them. It's going to make your life so much easier, and especially it's going to make the lives of potential players easier too, because they know what the game is about. Now, so that was the key pillars. Second thing I want to show you is Quantic Foundry Gamer Motivational Profile. And I love this stuff. I love it heaps, and I'll tell you why. Okay, quick little thing. I've got nothing to do with Quantic Foundry. I just appreciate the work that they do. But Quantic Foundry was set up by these bunch of peeps who pretty much try to figure out why is it that people play video games. And they did this research. They created a survey that you can do yourself too online on their website. And through this research, they realized that people play games for many different reasons. Some people play games so they can be someone else somewhere else for a little bit. Some people play games because they want to hang out with their friends. Some people play games because they want to, release their creativity. There's all these different reasons why people play games, and all reasons are valid. No one's better than the other. So what's cool, and the thing that I like to do first is I go, all right, so here's the game. Here's our key pillars that we've got. Let's go on the Quantic Foundry and check it out and see who this game might actually be for. So that's kind of the first step. Now, this is all available for you for free on their website, so I highly recommend it. And they go into much, much deeper detail as well. But just very simply, just like an overall summary, here are the 6 personas. That's what I call them, because I like persona, wicked game. But the 6 personas, clusters, or different types of players from a behavioral point of view that they came across. So you've got the first sort of segment there, which is action players. And it's pretty much players that are just all about just going nuts, exploding buildings, shooting stuff, jumping out of a helicopter, jumping out of two helicopters, you don't know, it's too intense, it's insane. They love the stuff, and that's what they play games for, just to feel excited. Second, you've got social players, and that's people that play games to either be the number one and beat someone else's asses, pretty much. And there's also social players that play games to hang out with their friends and almost treat it like this third place where you can hang out somewhere and talk stuff and, maybe build a house together. In video games, of course. Third cluster is your mastery people. So those are the players that play games just so they can challenge themselves, become, the best at something, maybe become number one on leaderboards, but also people that want to use that strategic part of their brain where they sort of go into this 4D chess mode where they think about the next steps, the next 3 steps, the next 5 steps, and that's what rocks their boats. You've got people that are all about achievements, so those that want to be completionists. Just to give you an example, me and my wife, we play Overcooked. I'm happy to get 3 stars. If I get 3 stars on a level, I'm happy to move on. Sylvia, on the other hand, no, she needs to get 4 stars on everything. And to me, it's just painful. But that's the way she is. She likes to complete everything, get all the missions done. And that's more power to her, and fair enough. And there's also people that play games just so they can max out their character, be like this demigod in this digital world, I guess. Immersion is all about players that want to be someone else somewhere else. So you're people that play games for narrative, for the narrative of the story. And finally, you've got the creativity peeps who just want to design stuff, build stuff, and express themselves nicely and go, oh, that's pretty nice. Look at this. I made a little city that's got roads and roundabouts next to it, pretty cool. So those are sort of like your personas there. And the thing is, some games can actually have multiple personas. So, you could have a game that's all about creativity, but also social, where you build things together in a world. You might have, for example, mastery and social as well, action and immersion. There's different things that can overlap. So you can actually target more than just one group. Now, the Quantic Foundry, they go deep into this. They've even gone even further, so give you even more types of players. But just to stay on the sort of more shallow end, if we just go a little bit deeper and say, for example, we take the immersion persona, this is where it gets interesting. This is where you get some cool stuff happening here for your campaign. So I'm just going to read it out for the story part. So players who score high on the story side of things want games with elaborate storylines and a cast of multi-dimensional characters with interesting backstories and personalities. So when I kind of look at this, I'm going, okay, we need to show this stuff in our game. So if we are making a narrative-driven game, let's just say Poznan Fighter is a narrative-driven game now. This is the sort of stuff players that play these games want. That's what we should show him. So we should show our character, show that he's got, all these conflicting issues about, climate change. And then we got, he's always arguing with his dad, and dad going, oh, you're all about climate change. And, you can see the conflict there. And then all of a sudden, the mum would be like, oh, you just go out and fight, why don't you go back to school? And you can be like, well, there is no school, it's the post-apocalypse, so you got all these things happening here. Maybe you got an uncle that understands you. So you take those things and you show that in the trailer. You show all these conflicts, you show all these arguments, you show all these people, doing these mental arguments, not maybe the one punch here and that could be interesting too. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is pop those things in, because people that enjoy narrative-driven games, they'll look at this trailer, they'll look at all this chaos and they'll go, wow, this sounds interesting. I love these sort of storylines with elaborate characters and backstories to them. Same with design. For example, I'm kind of like one of those people where some people play games to just typically express their individuality. So second paragraph, second sentence. In city building games or space strategy games, these players can take the time to design and customize exactly how the city or spaceship should look. So like I'm one of those people, like when I play SimCity or any other Farthest Frontiers, that's what I'm playing right now. When I'm designing my city, in my head, I've got these things that here's the town center. Next to it, I'll pop a big statue. So, someone's coming into the city town and we're like, oh, wow, there's a statue here. Or when I play SimCity and you look at all these things that people create, crazy ass towns with highways going around and kind of makes my city looks like crap. But, you kind of sort of, you get this idea of like, wow, they're building some fantastic stuff. So if you're doing a city building game and you've got these sort of customizations, maybe you've got like this feature where you can assign different colors to the roof tiles of the buildings that you have. So if you're creating a city, you can have your buildings have like blue tiles, so that could be placed next to the ocean because it's the blue area, and then maybe you can put in the finance sector some darker buildings, show it in your trailers, show it in your screenshots, or in your gameplays, because people that will play these sort of games, they'll look at it and go, damn, I can put different colors in my tiles, like, I'm in. So use those personas to find out what it is that people like about, playing your type of games, and then just show people, hey, my game's actually got these things. And I use the word love points for these talking points, and I kind of use them as my material in my assets. So, we might do a trailer that will showcase, the conflict in relationships. Maybe you might want to do a Steam update about how to choose colors on your buildings, screenshots that you do, and then you can have a screenshot of the UI of the building and then got different colors that you can choose. So someone looks at it on Steam, they go, oh, wow, this is insane. So use that, give people what they want to hear. Obviously, don't lie, but yeah, just think about the reasons why people play games. Because at the end of the day, you're making games for players, for someone else. And just last final thoughts. Key pillars. Obviously, they kind of influence the type of personality you'll be attacking in the Quantic Foundry. I shouldn't use the word attacking, but you know what I mean. So you'll have a look at the key pillars. All right, well, this game could, be really cool for the narrative-driven folk who like some action games. But then you might start getting deeper into these personas and you realize, oh, wow, like we've got this game that's got, maybe I don't know, like some sort of a feature, like it's really good for designers, but maybe doesn't have enough features to keep them interested. So you might go, all right, well, maybe we need to redesign it here as well to make our key pillars a little bit stronger. So they can kind of influence one another as time goes on. And maybe one thing I should have mentioned, going back to the key pillars, I use the number three key pillars. I know different studios have different takes. Some use 4 key pillars, some use 5 key pillars. Personally, I think if you're going anything above 5 key pillars, that's a little bit nuts. Keep it small. I like it 3. You can always mention other things later on. And yes, final thought, like once you find what are your key strengths and you find out, what makes my game special, and you find out what sort of people would be interested in my game, and what are those people that are interested in my game, what is it they want to see and hear about my game, you're going to create one heck of a plan. I'm going to just quickly go all the way back to the beginning. We're nearly there. There we go. So if you figure out what to say and to whom to say it, we're doing a narrative-driven game. We've got to show the conflict and, the relationships in there. Questions like where to say it. Well, maybe there's a narrative-driven festival that's coming up, there's an Narracon. That's somewhere that we should go. That's where our game would fit. When do we say it? Well, Lunar Narracon is in February. Maybe it's a good time to announce our game. So let's work towards that game and towards that date. And how do I say it? Well, we're building a trailer. This is what we should say in it. These are the things that people that like these sort of games like. So let's create a script based around that. So if you answer those 2 questions, the rest of it is going to be simple. So let me just get all the way back to the beginning. There we go. We are there. Yes. So answer those questions. The rest will answer themselves. You're going to be sick and you're going to be in a really good spot to create your marketing campaign. Yeah, so that was my little presentation. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was full of good, nice, chunky info. If you got any questions, you can message me. Happy to answer them for you. And if you got any questions here, look, just ask me. We can go Polish. We can go English. We'll see what happens. But I'm more than happy to help out. And just finally, thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me. Have a good time. And yeah, I hope you're gonna do some kick-ass marketing.
Mamy pytanie od osoby, co do której nie wiem, jak się wymawia dokładnie nazwisko, więc zacznę od Jana. How would you recommend marketing game that is mixed in genres, so Quantic Foundry player styles would overlap?
Jan, dobre pytanie, good question. So what I would actually do is think about, okay, maybe perhaps my game would be fit for one type of genre or one type of Quantic Foundry player more than the others. So I might have like a primary market. So action players, they're the ones that will love it. That's where my strengths are. So I'm going to treat them as my primary market. And then, for example, you might say, but look, we've actually got a bit of co-op and social, we can play the game together. And you can treat that as your secondary group. So you can find out and see what people in the social side want to hear, the sort of things that they want to go after. And you can just slide those messages into your materials as well. So I sometimes work with games that I have, maybe 1-2 overlaps, or like two games that the two targets that they're after. Some maybe even slither on 3. So I just choose which one I think is the primary one. Maybe give 70%, 80% of my time to that, and then the rest maybe a little bit less. So I hope that answers the question, yeah.
Wyciszona byłam. Mamy kolejne pytanie od Damiana. Are you experienced in VR games marketing? Are there any extra tips in that matter?
Kurczę, Damian, powiem Ci szczerze, nie mam aż takiego wielkiego experience'u z VR-em. Pracowałem przy paru gierkach. One thing I can say, definitely go after the VR crowd and the VR press. So like Upload VR is like still the main thing. I know like PlayStation VR, Push Square, they do a little bit of coverage. But what I realized worked well for us was Reddit and subreddits that are all about VR. They got some active people there. So maybe I will try to get to know the mods, try to get to know the community, get them involved there. I had a couple of games that, for example, hit, IGN and whatnot. But I do feel that a lot of like the mainstream players, they still haven't converted to VR. It is still like a very market within itself. So I would go after the communities that are sitting there, the press that are all about about that platform. I think you're going to get a much better results than trying to go to, mainstream gaming sites like IGN, Rock Paper Shotgun, and whatnot. I hope that helped.
Napływają. Mamy jeszcze co najmniej 3, także...
Co ja tutaj nie widzę właśnie.
Widzisz, tak? Od Konrada na przykład, tak? Kolejne pytanie.
Super. Dobra. What's your opinion on fake gameplay trailers? I don't like them. There's lots of these short YouTube ads on which we can see that the game is trying to convince us it is something more than just another scam mobile game. Is there something like a marketing moral code? Or as long as the marketing campaign reaches the target, every move is allowed? Good question, Konrad. Bardzo dobre pytanie. Okej. Jest wiele szkół, jeżeli chodzi o to. Niektóre robią fejkowe, żeby zobaczyć, czy ta gra ma jakieś, powiedzmy, we put out a fake trailer, put it on Steam or whatnot, just to see if there's interest, and if there is, we'll go and start developing this game. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. Who am I to judge? Ja osobiście czegoś takiego nie zrobiłem, but I do feel that once you announce a game and you stick to, all right, we're going to make this game no matter what, having fake gameplay is just gonna make your life worse in the end. You know, like there's this idea of like, all right, you show this gameplay and go, look at this world, it's amazing, stuff is insane, it's nuts. And people will be hyped up about it. They go, oh man, have you seen that gameplay video? It's like, it's insane. And then your game comes out and it's not even like half of what you said it is. People are just gonna be like, man, this is poo, you know, like I'm gonna give this a negative review on Steam. And I think that is a pretty bad situation to be in. So I personally don't like to fake up gameplay. Sure, you know, maybe you can do a little alteration here and there because, you know, you're working on the game and it's going to be, you know, fixed up by the time it comes out. But if you're doing it with, you know, the sweet intention of now, we'll just hype it up a bit more just to get those wish lists and likes. I don't know. I feel like that could bite you in the butt. So I hope that answers your question, Konrad. Weronika, skoro powinno się zawrzeć z nami jeden key pillar w każdym materiale marketingowym, to jak tworzyć materiały marketingowe, które nie są powtarzalne? Powtarzalność nie jest problemem. Good question, Veronica. Look, it depends. It depends on the medium. So, if you're, for example, making trailers, you know, you're probably going to make like 3 or 4 big trailers that are gonna hit the streets. So you're going to have an announcement trailer, maybe have like a gameplay trailer, maybe release date trailer, and then a launch trailer. And obviously on your budget, you can maybe just have 2, just a launch and a release. With those, I feel it's okay to recycle a little bit, but it will be kind of nice to show new footage. So as you're going along with the campaign, you see new things, and people that watch the trailer for the first time, they'll be like, the first trailer, they'll be like, oh, here's the second trailer. Cool. Something new, something exciting. Oh, I've seen this scene before, but that's okay. You kind of want to feed them a little bit of material here and there. So with those sort of long-term assets, I think it will be cool to show new footage, or as much as you can. When it comes to things like social media, so like screenshot or a little video that you post, it's fine to recycle. I honestly feel it's fine. As long as when you're posting that screenshot in 4 months' time still kind of represents what the game is, you should be fine. Say you post a video and it reached 2,000 people on Twitter. You know, that's pretty cool. That's all right. But I can guarantee you, Veronica, that next in 3 months' time, when you post that video again, you're probably going to get a lot more different people looking at it. Same with like TikTok and such. Like most of the people are going to be fresh views. And even if someone, you know, follows you and has seen that video again, they're not going to be like, oh my God, I've seen this video 3 months ago. You know, they just wasted my life. It's not going to be that bad. So when it comes to socials and such, I'm okay with recycling, especially if you're making a short narrative game, for example, that only lasts like 3 or 4 hours. Yeah, it's going to be very hard to come up with material. So for socials, it's fine. Bigger assets, I will maybe try to show a little bit as I go along. Robert, how do you talk with publishers about games that are catered towards mid-core hard audiences? Will they always be pushing for making a game for everyone, even though the biggest budget in the industry are failing at doing that? Robert, good question. That's a really good question. I guess my advice would be this. Look, I feel like going with a publisher is like having a relationship with someone. Like you're signing a document and you're going to be with that person for, you know, at least a couple of years, and you're probably going to split profits for, you know, until you die or until Steam, you know, falls apart. So it is like a relationship that you're doing. And I guess what I would think about is, look, if I'm making a game that's, you know, a bit hardcore, maybe I should find a publisher that can relate to that. That's going to make your life a lot easier. I'm not saying don't listen to feedback, because sometimes publishers can give you good feedback too. But try to find someone that can appreciate what your game is about or the audiences that you're going after. I know it's easier said than done, and I know it's really hard to find publishing deals these days, but yeah, maybe I will look at it of trying to align myself with someone that kind of has the same values than me, or then try to listen to feedback and see if the feedback is good or not. Once again, green flags, red flags, see what your instinct is telling you. I hope that helps, Robert. Mateusz, zauważyłem, że pokazywanie ekipy na social media przynosi duży ruch na nasze socjale. Czy według Ciebie powinno się pokazywać tylko screen z gry i wirtualny świat? Czy pokazywanie się z ekipą i wyjście do ludzi, żeby nas poznali, jest ok? Mateusz, myślę, że jest ok. I think it's cool. Niektórzy lubią wiedzieć, kto nam robi, powiedzmy, posiłek czy rogala. Znaczy miło jest zobaczyć, kto gotuje nam jedzenie. I feel it's the same with video games too. So don't be afraid to show yourself who you are. Yeah, just be honest, and I think it's going to rub off on your, as they call, studio image as well. So don't be shy, show your face. Yeah, it's going to be good. Jeżeli to działa, to czemu nie? Widać, że tego ludzie chcą. Got another question from Jan. It's well known in indie marketing community that you shouldn't release the game if you haven't reached at least 7,000 wishlists for your title. Do you have any personal observations on that? I was wondering if it's actually 7,000 wishlists that triggered the algo, or perhaps it's the followers count as well. Yes, I've heard the 7,000 thing before, and I actually kind of use it as my little personal goal as well. Okay, obviously I don't work for Steam or anything, and this could be like urban myths and legends, but my understanding is if you've got that sort of 7,000 wishlist benchmark, that's when the algorithm go, all right, this is a decent game, we should be showing a little bit more of it. And it's going to show you on the popular upcoming charts just before your game comes out. Now, from experience, that popular upcoming chart is a good, last minute way of getting those wish lists coming in from you. So yeah, I guess personally, I always go for that 7,000 wish list mark, and I try to do as much as I can to get there. I mean, obviously there will be, a time where financially someone will go, look, we got to release this, or we got to just dump it, put it out on Steam and just go with another project. So, you might not hit that 7,000 mark, but if you can, go for it. And I think it's a really good benchmark to aim. So yes, I'm a big fan of the 7,000s. And if you can postpone a little bit, could be good. Dariusz, should we aim for all 6 personas? I wouldn't, but let's keep reading. For example, the core pillars aim for only 2, but we want to add some strong features for the other 4. Should we do a marketing around that? Should we only do marketing for only those main 2 pillars, not to blur the view of the game as a whole? Example, strong action plus challenge, and we add a bigger feature for designers, which we think is pretty cool. Is that even a problem? Okay, I'm one of those people that when I hear someone say, our game is for everyone, I'm like, whoa, I feel an alarm bell coming on. I feel it's good to design a game, just for a particular niche, as opposed to trying to get everyone to be happy with your game, because you're never going to keep everyone happy. Everyone's going to complain about something, so I don't try to go. So I probably wouldn't aim for all 6, because then you're going to have these messages that, it's like an action game with narrative where you get to explore things together with friends and you get to create things. People will like, oh, what the hell is this? This is too ambitious. This is too nuts. So I would maybe stick 2 to 3. I don't know. Personally, that's the way I'll do it. I'll feel more safe. But then again, I could be wrong. So yeah, I hope that helps out a bit. Robert, what is the right moment to start talking to publishers? Pitch and a playable demo. If so, what constitutes a playable demo? Good question. It's an interesting one, and it depends. Very quickly, we can take this offline too. I guess it depends on how do you want to go about it. Like some studios, what they do is they try to secure a publishing deal before they get a publisher, before like get a publisher before they make an announcement. There we go. That's the better. So they get a publisher, and then the publisher can handle all the marketing. They can do all the announcements. Some, what they like to do is if they feel, hey, we've got something really cool in here. Maybe our initial chats with publishers weren't that great. Let's just make an announcement. We've got to start this marketing campaign anyway because we've got to start collecting wish lists. And then if the announcement does really well, we've got like 150,000 views, million views of our trailer, hundreds and thousands of wish lists in like less of a week. I hope that happens, but just going extreme here. After that sort of announcement, they can go, all right, so now if we talk to a publisher, we can say, hey, we've got a trailer that's got over 1 million views. We've already got 50,000 wish lists, and this is just the beginning. And that puts the conversation with publisher in a different light. You no longer have to prove yourself anymore. You've already kind of yourself. So that's like the two ways of going about it. And what makes a playable demo? Okay, let me put it that way. I know a lot of publishers can use their imagination and can imagine themselves, all right, well, the UI here is probably going to be fixed, menu's going to look better, maybe the story, is going to be a little bit panned out. But the way I would see it is, I would only feel comfortable with giving them a demo if I would be happy myself. If you want to give them something that's kind of half-baked and half-assed, they'll just play, look at it and go, we're not going to give these people $300,000. They can't even make a demo. So I would kind of look at it from this perspective. It is kind of marketing too. You're marketing to a publisher. They're not going to, they're going to buy the game not for $10 or $20. They're going to buy it for like $300,000 or $400,000. So yeah, try to knock them out with that demo. So if there's a good gameplay, good loop, graphics look good, they can launch it and look at it and go, damn, this is potential. I think you've got something good there. Okay, Jan, could you share a discovery about game marketing that you made on your own during your career, which surprised you the most? There is one. I did one last year. It's probably stupid, and please don't judge me. But I realized one thing. I was working on this game called Bramble the Mountain King, and oh my god, like we had a couple of videos that went viral, and a lot of people seen us. And there's this one scene where you're walking, jumping on lilies in this water, and as you jump, there's this monster that comes out and tries to grab you. Before the game came out, I was like, look, I'm pretty sure everyone on planet's seen this. I'm just recycling stuff. I'm just saying the same thing over and over. But then about a few weeks before release, I would post something on socials, and people were like, oh, wow, what is this game? I've never seen this game before. And that's when I realized there's a lot of people on this planet. And just because someone's seen your game, you got 10,000 views on your video or trailer, doesn't mean that every gamer has seen your game. So yeah, I know it's nothing revolutionary that I've just came up with, but it surprised me that, yeah, it's okay to recycle content too. So yeah, that's I guess one little surprise that I came across with it. I hope it's a good one, yeah.
Ja tylko powiem, że mamy jeszcze jedno pytanie od Artura i jedno od Sandry i niech to będą już ostatnie pytania do Michała, bo już czeka kolejny prelegent, więc już na razie więcej nie przyjmujemy. Jak coś, to macie kontakt do Michała, tam podawał LinkedIna, także możecie się odezwać pewnie na privie. A jeszcze 2 pytanka ostatnie.
Pewnie. Pytanko od Artura. Showing some of the process of making new stuff to your game while being on early access. The good thing? Yeah, it is. I love it. Artur, very quickly, what you can do is you can make nice little loop here. I don't know if we're talking about the same thing. Just in case we are, say if your game is out in early access and you're doing the next, you just released your game in early access and you're working towards update number 1. I think it's really cool to show people what you're working on. You can do little posts and updates and say, hey, check it out. We're now working on, I don't know, adding new animals and a couple of new buildings. He's a buffalo. You can put things on him, and he's a little bit slow, but he can put some more stuff on him because he's big and strong. So he's going to be a pretty cool addition to your village. And we're also working on a windmill. We've got some other things that we're not going to surprise you with, but here's just some of the things that we're working on. If you're in early access and you do these sort of things, people will look at it and go, wow, like they're working on the game and they're not abandoning it. And also anyone that comes onto Steam and sees these Steam updates, they'll go, okay, it's an early access, but they're adding new content. That gives me faith. So I'm all for it. So yeah, tease, make some materials, release the update, tease again for the next one. Yeah, you can make yourself a nice little loop until you're 1.0. So I hope that helped out too. And last one from Sandra. Have you ever experienced a situation in which the audience of your game shifted significantly as the marketing campaign went on? Yes, I did. For instance, it was meant to be marketed for the creative persona, but instead primarily attracted achievements oriented players. How did you navigate this transition? That's a good one. All right, maybe without mentioning games, but I was working kind of similar to what you're saying. I was working on this one open world game, and that was one of the pillars that we're saying, hey, it's a good open world game, and two others that I don't want to mention because we don't want to connect dots. But then when we started doing previews with journalists and such, they kind of said, you know what, like with the silent reviews and such, and they were like, you know what, like that open world that you're saying is pretty cool. It's not that good, eh? So that kind of made us realize, crap, okay, maybe we should start thinking of a different key pillar just so we don't overpromise on one thing and attract the wrong crowd. So about halfway in, we kind of swung a little bit to promote a different pillar and made a different section of the game a bit more stronger. So yeah, so that was kind of an example of how we switched once halfway through. And yeah, be okay to be flexible, be like water, like things change. You might realize that the game is attracting different types of crowds, and that's fine, because at the end of the day, you're not making those games for yourself. It's not an art project. It's you want to make some money, which is cool. So give people the things that they want. I hope that helped.